The new Peanuts special, Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin, uncovers the origin story of one of Peanuts' most beloved characters. And joining us now are the show's director and the executive producer and son of Peanuts creator, Charles Schulz. Welcome, Raymond and Craig. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, fill us in. Tell us about this new show.
Well, we're excited about this show. It's been probably a year and a half in the making. It's, I think, number 7 in the series on Snoopy Presents on Apple TV Plus. And it's one that we really, really want to do. Franklin is one of the most beloved characters in the Peanuts universe. And in this show, we tell the story, actually the origin story of how Franklin comes to the beach to meet Charlie Brown, which is right out of the comic strip from 1968. And it's a great story because it really kind of talks about how kids can come together and form a friendship and bond through even the toughest times. And him and Charlie Brown will have some tough times, but in the end, we find out that kids have a way to make relationships work. And that's kind of what the story is all about. I think most kids are going to be able to really relate to this story and find it very touching.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving kind of seeing the Peanuts story continue because, of course, growing up, we were all familiar with it, but also it gives a chance to a new generation to introduce them to Snoopy and Charlie Brown and the gang. Why is now a really great time to share Franklin's origin story?
Well, it's funny. It kind of matches up with what happened back in 1968. In 68 was turmoil times. Martin Luther King had been killed. The LA riots happened, and then, Kennedy gets killed. And we're kind of going through the same tough times now. I think the nice thing about Franklin coming out now is that it is part of Black History Month. The Franklin story, I think, is basically timeless right now, and I think it's a great story to tell. And with all the divisiveness that's going on in the world right now, I think it's nice to look at children and find out that if we would emulate children and see how they can get along, it might help adults get along.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How important is it to keep the Peanuts legacy going?
Well, it's very important. I mean, I think it's part of kind of extending my dad's legacy, I guess. He always said, you only have a legacy if it, continues beyond a couple generations. And, myself and my son and all our staff in Santa Rosa, work every day to do that. But I think beyond that, I think it's just the messages are so powerful and so universal. It doesn't even make a difference what country you're in, whether it be Japan or China or United States. The messages all apply. I mean, every kid can relate to one of the characters in the Peanuts universe, and that's what makes it so timeless and so universal.
Yeah. Raymond, for you, what do you hope audiences come away with while watching?
Well, I think what I'd like people to come away with is that two things. Sometimes we put our differences aside and we can see how much we have in common and be friends. And the other thing is we can embrace each other's differences, and it's kind of a way to kind of enrich each other. And we see the characters do this in the special. And I just think it's a really great sort of example to show.
Yeah, certainly. I'm curious for each of you, do you have a favorite Peanuts character that you feel like you relate to? Raymond, we'll start with you.
So I'm going to speak for, I think, both of us because I think Craig and I share the same one for different reasons, though. So I love Pigpen, and one of the things I love is all the characters in the Peanuts world have their insecurities and their hang-ups, but for some reason, as dirty as he is, he's very confident in who he is, and he has no shame.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say to add to that, Craig?
Well, I think like my dad said, he kind of wished he was Snoopy, but in reality, he was Charlie Brown. And in my world, yeah, I wish that I could have been Snoopy, but I relate to Pigpen also because I kind of grew up as Pigpen. I raced motocross and BMX and played in the dirt my whole life. And so my wife even calls me Pigpen. But so I relate to Pigpen. He's well-grounded and well-liked.
Well, thank you both for joining
Yes,
us.
thanks so
We
much.
appreciate your time. Excited about the show.
Thanks
Glad
so
to do it.
much.
Yeah, great.
Anytime I think about the Peanuts gang, I think my favorite movie, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown.
Oh my gosh,
when
that's
they're
a
at
good.
camp. Oh my gosh, and
Yes.
they're trying to, those bullies at the camp, and they're very mean cat, and
Yes.
Snoopy's all checking people, putting them in place. That is probably my favorite Charlie Brown.
I feel like that's a little bit of a deep cut. You got the knowledge going on about Peanuts gang. I love it. Yes.